recording. What's up, y'all? Been a long time. I got the Wandrd Fernweh. What is it called? Fernweh. This thing is a massive, this is a camera cube. It can come out massive, serious, like adventure backpack overnighting Europe. What are you gonna do with this? I know a lot of you are interested in this thing, so I got a little quick hands-on review of it, but I haven't been able to test it. This is not a paid review. I've got to send this back to Wandrd, but they were fired up to send me one to get my hands on so I can show you. So let's talk about this bag and maybe do a little life update towards the end, right? Very serious harness system. VSHS, okay? This thing is made for packing stuff out into some backcountry, and I think it would survive out there extremely well. We'll talk about the durability in a second, but this is not like this is not low key. This is not, this is a huge removable hip strap, but it's fat, it's big, it's contoured. The whole thing is geared up so that you can carry quite a lot of gear on long treks, right? And it comes in a couple different, you can get like different size straps, you can get different size back frames on this. There's a small, medium, and a medium large. There are handles like you'd expect all over the place. We got a handle here, handle up at the top, handle on all the sides. These side handles can work as a luggage pass-through on some roller luggage if you're like really bringing some shit. Down at the bottom here, there is a pull-out butt flap. I call this the butt flap, little beaver paddle. Okay, this is so that you can attach your sleeping bag, a tent, tripods, anything you want. Helmets, what are you doing? You need a helmet or some shit? You put that, clip that up here. So you got a lot that like, there's, this thing is pretty serious adventure-y. Laptop pocket right here in the back flap. You see that there? 15, 16-inch laptop will fit there. You could also put a hydration bladder in there, but you wouldn't want to do that if you've got your camera gear here. That's what this whole thing up front is. There's a little hydration bladder pouch back here, and everything in this front pouch is sealed against, with a couple different layers to keep water from commingling with your, how do you say it, spendy ass gear. Okay, so the first bit here just being, this is a serious sort of adventure bag, especially for you cinematographers, videographers, camera people, drone people. What do you do? Bring like a bunch of different headphones? I don't know. What do you bring gear-wise? All you camera people, it actually is kind of hard to find a great camera bag that you can really ruck out into the wilderness with. My first main point on this is like a very serious adventure bag, okay? Let me walk you through a little bit of like the terrain here. You can actually lay this thing on its back, on the straps like that, or on its belly and get into the main compartment. You've got this beaver paddle right here on the top, and there is right there the back of my camera cube. All right, that's the back of my camera cube. So from putting that down on its straps, I won't be able to get my gear there, but anything that I have above that, for example, if I put my packing cube here, if I was throwing pouches all in here, right, I'd be able to grab that stuff. But you can see this right here, this flappy-dappy. This is what I call the bucket. This is the bucket. So inside of here, let me close this flap down and open the pack from the other side over here. There's another zipper up in here, okay? This opens us into the bucket. So you can easily segment your gear, keep it organized a bit. You have access without having to put the bag on its belly or on its back. You can just leave it up right here at your feet, and you've got sort of vertical access to that. Some mesh here at the top for throwing in your cables or dongles, something like that. That bucket is removable. Okay, there's a zipper that goes around it and you can remove it. I personally, if I was traveling with this, I think I'd probably leave it in and just have a series of pouches, like a big packing cube, and then a few other little pouches that would go on top. What's so great about this thing, I mean, you could really fit a bunch of gear, plus you know, camping equipment, like a small amount of clothing and some serious camping equipment. Top of the pocket, just like the like my favorite Tom Bin guide pack, right? This is just a big old quick access pocket, large, big enough to get what, like a microphone in easily. So you could easily have another big sort of tech pouch that goes in here. I showed you this front vertical pocket, which is just like a stash. Just the whole thing is just a big stash. So everything's gonna fall down to the bottom here, but it's still nice to have like quick, I think I'd fill this whole thing up with snacks. But water bladder, like I said, with a little loop-de-doop at the top. This is your water bottle pocket, right? Huge, actually big enough to fit some small tripods directly inside. My Peak Design tripod doesn't fit all the way inside, but I can easily use these straps to clip around it, zip it almost all the way up. Little water drain spout at the bottom here. This thing isn't gonna get your gear wet if you have a spill or a leak in there. I like that they went for such a big, you know, this reminds me, a lot on this bag reminds me of the Shimoda stuff. The Shimoda X30, I'll link to that below. That's in the same vibe for actually competent camera bags that you can take out into the field. And on some Shimoda bags, just big floppy pockets like this is the way that they've gone. And honestly, in use, I end up really liking that myself personally. But on the go, having your water bottle in this big old sucker, that feels good. You can fit a huge Nalgene in here if you wanted. Other side over here, you've got the door to the camera cube. We're using more water sealed zips right here. You can see this big old YKK number 10 coiled zip. No seals right here, but this is up against your back. I don't worry about that. There is a separate rain flap that will fit inside of that butt flap thing. So you can just, when you're in serious downpour, you just have that in there. Pull that out, put the condom on, and you're safe. Everything else here, even if you've got some pretty serious rain coming, some like long-term drizzle or something, I still wouldn't worry. This material, super durable, all the zips are weather sealed, but you know, your mileage may vary. This door, okay, let's talk about this door. This is standard Wandrd machinery here. These curves, you're gonna have to get used to doing it. So you see I've been doing it a little bit. The zipper will break in a little bit, but oftentimes the sealed zips can feel cumbersome. When I shoot with something like this, I will almost always actually lay it down, open it up. This zip is a little cumbersome as well, just to find what's what. You've got straps over here, but once you get that, you got a great, like, put your finger through it zip hole, come all the way around quite easily. Nice big horseshoe, so there's not any corners that are hard to get through. This is how I shoot right here. I'll just be like, I grab my stuff, I need to switch out a lens, I need to pull out a thing. The truth is, my camera like setup is really simple right now. I try to be as minimal as possible in all things, and this is no exception. Which is why I'm excited about this bag, because for actually getting out in the field with a bunch of gear, when you need to bring food for the family, when you need to bring like some sleeping gear, when you're cruising with some buddies or whatever, it's like going out on your own. I don't know. You could really carry quite a bit of stuff comfortably in this. And then as I showed you, there's that little butt flap down here, which just goes into this little zipper. There's like a little zipper accessory pocket right here. That's where I would put my rain fly, which I think is sold separately. You can find links on their stuff. They're just launching this on Kickstarter soon. I'll link to that below. Using my link does support the channel. I believe so. Another thing to notice here, lots of daisy chaining, okay, of these the small bar tacked webbing. And then you've got these accessory straps. Now the designer, I listened to the designer talk about this bag a bit, and they were like, you know, we tried to keep the dangle as little as possible. Everything, once you get your stuff dialed in here, especially once you get it on, there's not a lot of dangle. But when you get the bag down, you're constantly orienting around these straps and doing this, you know, this kind of thing. If you got something in here, you got to unclip that. So there are some strap and dangle effects in use, but it also means that you can use these daisy chains for lashing on accessory straps for, like, what do you do? Put your yoga mat, have a much larger tripod, a video tripod, all sorts of gear. This thing is quite capable even for you, like just hardcore actual cinematographer people. Okay, let's talk about this back panel. Lovely, super breathable. I don't know if you can see back here, but there's multiple places that you can put your little clip in here. And then there are 2 different sizes of this back panel for the bag that you'll be able to choose from when you purchase. Okay, these are quite nicely articulating, so you should be able to find comfort for your neck size and traps. Load adjustment, load lifter straps right here. You've got nice little like meshy bits here. I really dig this track system. Like, this is some wizardry right here. This track system means you can take your sternum strap and just kind of like, you know, clip on to both sides to the same, clip them both to one side so they're out of the way like that. Pulling this little, pulls it right off. Clipping it over here to this next one. Like, it just slides right in. It's not a magnet. It's just clips, right? This thing works surprisingly well in my limited testing of it. Then this hip strap is quite serious business. Like, first of all, you could see how breathable this mesh is, right? How big air channel, big, puffy, cushy, like rigid enough. It feels like they did a lot of work on this harness system, and it shows, and you feel it when it's on your body. So my body to yours, I actually, again, this is not a bag for everybody, right? This is a bag for professional photographer, videographers, for sure, drone people who are taking stuff out into nature. If I was just hiking and bringing, you know, not bringing camera and a bunch of gear with me, I've used something from Patagonia, like the 9 Trails, which I really like from Patagonia, or, you know, REI, anything like that. But if I'm carrying heavy duty gear, which gets heavy, like not just like it's serious gear, like it gets actually heavy, right? And I wanna worry about my weather resistance, and I wanna worry about, like, you know, padding and protection in the camera cube system. I'm going to talk about that in a second. Okay, this bag becomes very interesting for me. And they knew that that gear gets very heavy. So the way that these hip straps specifically work, obviously all the padding, these are like, I have 0 complaints on all this. I love that we've got the adjustments. Love that we have the 2 different sizes to choose from in case your torso is quite short or quite long, right? This is the medium large one. All right, that's what probably a lot of you are like watching this channel. I don't know. I don't know what fucking torso size you have, but I'm stoked that they put so much work into this because it actually makes it a usable bag when you're carrying multiple lenses, big heavy glass, multiple cameras, big heavy full body cameras. That full body, like, you know, full frame, like the Canon 1DX type stuff, right? Like, they've got the ability to carry all of that stuff, even the red cams inside of here. They're like, I'll talk to you about the camera cubes in a second. All I'm trying to say right now is that I've been impressed with my, like I said, limited testing of this, but man, you can feel it. When I loaded it up, you can feel it when it's like, oh shit, the weight gets locked into your hips. Locked in. This has got a just like our backpack with Packed, the steel frame that goes around here, I think it's steel or aluminum, that makes this nice and rigid. Look at that, look at that. That means that all that weight is going to be distributed down onto those hips so that your spine isn't compressing as much. Your shoulder straps are being able to use the bag to stabilize, to keep where you are, and you can keep moving, right? Because sometimes that backcountry gets a little bit terrifying, you know what I mean? On these hip straps, you do have a big old elastic pocket right here, big enough to fit like your big old iPhone if you wanted that quick access, some snacks, and then a huge, like another big enough to fit your large phone, some keys, whatever. I like these straps when you're out and about because you can load yourself up for like, here's what we're doing next. We got like a 2.5 hour walk, all right? I got my camera, like if I absolutely need to, I can get on-body access to this thing. I have to unclip this. By the way, these hip straps, they pull like the professional, you know, like the real outdoor material. Like you pull forward like this to tighten it up. Feels great. But then if I'm going to access the camera body, right, the camera while it's on body. So there's my corner right there, Wandrd. I think these should be designed with a little bit roundier in the future. I see the same thing on the Perverki, but this has a little bit, this is a little more rigid, a little more stiff, a little more substantial, so it's easier to get around the corners here than sometimes with the Perverki where the fabric itself bunches up, right? But I've got my on-body access to the camera. Oh, look, it's a bird. Oh no, my child's doing something cute, right? Put it back in, zip it up, get it back on, and other than that, everything that I need is in this side pocket, this guy, or this water bottle pocket. Take a break, come down, grab, you know, something out of the top pocket in here, right? Snacks on the front. What, you want me to just go through all the pockets again? Speaking of which, there is a like secret little area back in here. So this is, I don't know if you can see, just behind the padding here, there's a Velcro passport style pocket, maybe large enough to get an airline ticket. They say that this is compliant with many of the carry-on standards. Your mileage may vary depending on what airline you're riding. I know in Europe, I don't think I'd be able to get away with this back when I was traveling in Europe but maybe, I don't know, it just depends on like, just depends on like the, I don't know, if you know how to like, just like, slink away. I just remember like you try to make your bag look as small as possible and yourself look as capable as possible, or as just like, don't talk to me as possible. But sometimes they'll make you pull it off, tag it, you gotta wait. It's like, oh well. Okay, camera cubes on this thing, they have taken very seriously. There's now several different models of camera cube you can get. Not just different size, but also different depths to this, right? So if you have pro size DSLR, if you have the big kind of stuff, you'll probably be able to find something that will fit your rig to go in this bag. And I am impressed with their, I don't know, this stuff just feels good. It's not nearly as, they used to have one that was thinner, right? It was thin and minimal so that it didn't take up much space, but these are much fatter, bigger padding. It feels really secure for my gear. The Velcro works well so far. I mean, I haven't had a lot of time with these, so I haven't seen any piling up or anything like that yet, but it does look like it might head that direction in time. I'm not sure. Okay, as far as durability and materials go, if any of you have played with their Wandrd Duo, a bag that I actually personally really dig in a lot of ways for my like tech daily carry, bringing a camera around because I have a really minimal camera kit and it's got that cube, it's like pop cube just built in. I like the durability on the exterior of that bag. This is the same coating as the Duo. 420D ripstop nylon with that PU coating with some 630D nylon here. The liner is a 200D polyester. All of these materials are waterproof, right? But the bag itself is not waterproof because the seams are not taped. They didn't tape the seams. That's why they did the rain cover. Okay. So what's your take on the Wandrd Fernweh? I'm definitely looking forward to getting one of these when they have enough to send out to give to me to put in the bag palace. You know what my dream is right now? Currently, my wife and I are actually, we've just sold our house in Portland. We've been traveling for almost two something years or something like that. And we've been renting out our place in Portland. We just sold that to this lovely family, and now we're like we get the appraisal tomorrow, and then we can finally pack up, and then we're really rambling. But the dream for me right now is I want to get some land. I just want to be out in the land, but I need to be able to get packages because I love trying to get like a sense of who's making the best gear out there. And honestly, I just find it, you guys seem to like it, so I love that. Cheers to you. Shout out to my patrons. But I want to do this thing where I have like a bag palace, which I probably won't ever get to have enough space to really lay out all the bags, but like by category. Daily carry, small daily carry, travel bags, camera bags, get it, and like just have friends come over, have celebrities come in and have a buddy like video, like us walking through going like, hey, what are you currently carrying? What, like, let's find the ultimate bag for you. So to me, getting all these bags like this and having them in a place where I can pull them off and show you on camera as I'm comparing them to something else is something I dream about a lot right now because we've been traveling for so long. I don't have, in San Diego, I boxes and boxes of bags. Here, there was still a bunch of boxes of bags I had to pack up. But at the same time, it's kind of fucking strange to be talking about bags in the time of A, a global pandemic, and B, like global consciousness sort of like eruption, right? As we watch another black boy get killed, right? As we watch like the insufferable sort of like inhumanity of just like a law enforcement machine kind of, that never really, that's kind of always been a bit like shady. I don't know what your podcast feeds have been like, but I've been learning like crazy. And actually, honestly, confronting some of the most challenging feelings. Some of the most challenging feelings, like so much discomfort, embarrassment about my country, about my people, right? Sadness, just deep grief, sadness, but like really a lot of personal, like man, I have thrived in this system, So I'll link below to some resources that have really connected for me and helped educate me, especially this one, Resma on Krista Tippett. You know Krista Tippett from OnBeing? I mean, this NPR show, OnBeing, Krista Tippett is just like, she is my spirit animal. It's like her and Guy Fieri. But she has this guy Resma on. Boy, did he ever just like, I love the way that this dude is just in the moment with her, and the way that he's training, and the way that he's giving people these experiences of their wetware, of their own human spiritual technology. One of the things that really got me was this idea of like diversity and inclusion. And he's like, why are we talking about diversity? Because there's a thing that is the identified as the correct way to be, and then there's diverse ways of being. He's like, that's not it, man. He's like, you got to understand that the white body was like the body you're supposed to have in America. Right? And probably more than America. And if you didn't have that white body, man, you're like, and hopefully you've been listening to a lot of people's voices as well and just hearing the stories, right? So I'll link to some resources below. Resma will be on that list. And, like even just yesterday, some news came out about like one of the things that my buddy Josh Kaufman tweeted like a few days in after the death of George Floyd. It was like, okay, here's why I'm donating to the ACLU. Here's a great episode of this podcast talking about Supreme Court, talking about, breaking into this idea that like we can get things shifted in the Supreme Court, and that becomes that is the highest law in the state, and that filters down into all this shit. Not that it's forever, and not that it's easy, right? But even just like yesterday or today, as I'm filming this, just the New York Times, like little like groundbreaking Supreme Court shift in transgender rights and seeing the term sex as including gender. Fuck, man, I don't know. I don't know if we can solve any of this shit, man. But what other choice do we have, right? I've got kids. I want my kids growing up in the real world. I don't want them growing up in some just purely sheltered. I mean, for me, I grew up in a very sheltered place, but I remember the first time I saw fucking pictures of the civil rights movement, right? I remember the first time I started getting grokked to the idea of and that, to me, that was just the 60s. It was just like, oh, cool, we fixed it, But now I'm 38, and again and again and again, seeing I have needed this just punched into my prefrontal cortex to really, my apology, I heard someone saying on Duncan Trussell's show, like, don't apologize for what happened in the past. That's on your ancestors. And you do have some ancestral kind of that guilt and stuff like that. That's actually not on you. That's on your ancestors, right? And you're a part of that system. But what you can apologize for is being uninformed, right? So I continue to educate myself. And I continue to look for great products and great product makers, right? Designers. Now, as ever, your dollar is your vote. What you're spending money on, you are actively keeping in business. Okay? Vote with your dollar. Get conscious about where you're spending your money, right? Spend money with Black-owned businesses, right? Spend money with organizations that you agree or align with their values. This is the way we're gonna be moving forward. And then also, like, honestly, have a little spirituality in your life of like fasting or of like, what hold on, I'm not telling you stop eating food. First of all, yes, if you can. Fasting is like the hardest. You think you're so fucking enlightened and then you just start fasting. No, but I just mean like notice what you need. Take what you need. Realize that the earth is a renewable resource if we treat it as such. But if we're whoring it out, raping it, if we're trying to just hoard our wealth for ourselves, if we're trying to be opportunistic and just find our way in a way that doesn't float other boats, right? This is commerce, motherfucker. This is what commerce has been, right? You know, before America, there were the trade routes. Here we are, like swimming in America, looking at bags that you can get out into nature with. This is like, you do not need to spend, I don't know, I haven't even seen the Kickstarter page for this yet. I think it must be around 300 something bucks. I don't know what. It's worth it. It's worth every penny. If you do this kind of shit, this bag will enable things out in the world, activities that you can't do with a lot of other bags, right? Phenomenal. I love that kind of shit. I just was driving through some crazy backwoods roads in my Subaru. That car enables some life shit. I'm grateful that I spent that money, right? That was my vote, and I'm using it. But man, I'll tell you what, where the medicine really is just out in nature. Go on a walk, man. Watch a tree grow, right? See time in a different scale than social media, right? Let's end it there. I love you. Stay alive. Be yourself. Get on the email list because I'm putting together a fucking course right now. I'm putting together a course on how to do creative work, right? How to do specifically like consistent content in your own voice, authentically, right? I'm gonna be talking about video. There's gonna be a module that's like on just making with video, but it's gonna be applicable to, you know, anything social, anything writing, anything course making, anything. The digital world is here, and you're gonna be a fucking ballerina. I mean, are you really gonna be satisfied without like being like really speaking with your own voice, without really creating? If that's, I don't know. If you feel interested in that kind of thing, you're gonna hear more about it on this channel. Get on the email list below. I'll link to it in the time code. Links below in the description or on the first comment. I appreciate you. Shout out to my patrons. If you like what we're doing here, check us out on Patreon. My family loves you. We've been eating oatmeal because of you. My wife makes a mean oatmeal. Thank you all. And other than that, man, be your fucking self because everybody else is taken. Love you guys. Bye.